In this video, we'll do a variety of mechanical assumptions for the different types of designs you can do in helioscope. We're going to start with this flush-mounted system, so it's a pitched roof. So I'm going to select my module and set my azimuth, and I'm using flush mount racking here. So when we view this from the side, you can see that the roof is tilted and the modules are flat on that surface. So as I change the tilt, that adjusts the actual roof. That's different from a fixed tilt system, so if we were to do a flat roof, like this roof over here, the roof will be flat and the modules will be tilted up. So why don't I just finish this field segment, set my azimuth, and we'll view this from the side so you can see what this would look like if I had left it flush mount. That's not right, so let me just switch that to fixed tilt, and you can see that the modules are tilted from a flat surface. Same thing if I were to do east-west racking, except the modules will be facing east and west. So whichever type of racking you're going to use on this roof, define that, and we can adjust the tilt as well as the row spacing. So we have a variety of different ways that you can set the row spacing. You can manually set a row space just by typing it in. You can use span to rise ratio by setting what ratio you want, ground coverage ratio, or time of day, which is using a time window to assess shade patterns. Lastly, for this one, I will raise the roof here to about 7 feet, basically relative to my other field segment. I'm going to zoom out and do a carport over here. So just like the other ones, I'm going to define the area where I want my modules, hold shift to get 90-degree angles, and double click to end my shape. I'm going to set my azimuth by right clicking, set the azimuth, and I'm going to define carport shade structure instead of fixed tilt. So here we want our row spacing to be 0 because all the modules are connected, and the height is 10 feet. So if we view that from the side, we can see that carport. Now the last type of design I'm going to do is going to be a ground mount. So just assuming that they clear this area to allow for an array. This is just a demo, so totally fine. We're going to double click here, end the shape, and instead of carport, we're going to choose fixed tilt racking. And that will allow us to set the height of 0, tilt of 25, and we'll do our time of day analysis. One last step is to set the azimuth, make sure this is lined up. And now let's view this from the side, and I'll set the setback distance. So let's try 5 feet from the edge of the field segment, and you can see how the modules lay out. Now, if you have multiple modules in the rack, so you can define the frame size as 3 up, then you have 3 modules high. You can also define the width of the rack, so you can say that 3 by 5, so 15 module blocks. And it's easier to see if you increase the frame spacing between your module blocks. Here I defined 3 feet. I'm going to go back to these buildings and raise their height so that we can model the effect of shade if we want to. So I'm just going to raise these up, and I'm going to zoom in and adjust the flush mount system. So I can switch to vertical orientation from portrait or vice versa. And I can change the alignment options. So if I want center alignment, that will allow the rows to stagger, and grid alignment will allow the modules to be perfectly in place.